welcome friends and family of dear Hannah. We, at this time of bittersweet remembrance, we really appreciate your coming and participating. I'm Kirk Anderson and uncle of dear Hannah, and unfortunately we've been in different parts of the country a lot of times and didn't get to spend near as much time with her as we'd like to, but it's a great honor that Scott and Amanda asked that I officiate, and really appreciate the support that everyone has been giving in this difficult time. But also, we're here not just for the bitter, but also for the sweet, and to remember our dear little family member and friend. And we'd like to first ask Sister Carla Fisher, who is great aunt, and she's a great aunt too. We'd love to have her come up and give the family prayer.
Our dear Father, which art in heaven, we are gathered here with family and friends of Scott and Amanda, Cleere family. To give our love and support at this time. We ask Thee to please reinforce the love that exists here on both sides of the veil for Hannah and family, and through the temple ordinances that Scott and Amanda received at the temple. We are comforted in knowing that they are a forever family, that they will be reunited with Hannah once again. We ask Thee, dear Heavenly Father, that as friends and family members, that we will reach out and serve one another, resulting in Christ-like love for each other. We ask this, Heavenly Father, in the name of loving Son, Jesus Christ. In His name we ask this, to guide us and protect us throughout this rest of this day. In the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Our purpose mainly to be here today is to remember Hannah and her wonderful life, and to remember our memories of her so that we might to help that. We've asked the cousin, Abby Hessing, to give the life sketch.
Hannah Gwen Cleere, beloved daughter and sister, passed away on Sunday, February 27th, 2022, in her home in Moscow, Idaho. Hannah was born the second of 3 children on November 15, 2000, to Scott and Amanda Cleere in Boise, Idaho. Hannah then lived in Mount Lake Terrace, Washington, Montgomery, Texas, Oregon, Wisconsin, St. Charles, Illinois, and Meridian, Idaho. Hannah graduated from Mountain View High School in Meridian in May 2019. Then she moved to Moscow to attend the University of Idaho. Hannah was a junior at the University of Idaho, where she was majoring in English with a literature emphasis and a minor in Spanish. She had planned to obtain a master's degree in library science. She was employed at the university library. She was most content, curled up with a good book, indulging in novels and stories with a myriad of genres and eras, including poetry. Hannah also enjoyed spending time with family and friends and could always be relied on for a warm smile and a dry sense of humor. Hannah loved listening to music, rock, indie, pop, alt, but especially the Studio Ghibli soundtracks. Her hobbies included video games, baking, and walking in nature. She also loved her pets, including her late guinea pig Cookie, the family cat Pumpkin, and her 2 fish, SpongeBob and Patrick. Hannah was preceded in death by her grandparents Robert and Marjorie Cleere, Uncle Dennis Anderson. Hannah is survived by her grandparents David and Catherine K. Goggins, her parents, 2 siblings, Scott A. and Catherine Cat Cleere, as well as uncles, aunts, and cousins dear to her.
Thank you. We now would like to have an open microphone for all of you who would like to. I'm sorry, I missed something. Yes. See, that's what happens when you depend on your brain to remember things. That's why you have a list. And we should first do the poem from Bella, who is Hannah's cousin, and she would like to come and read that for us. Thank you.
I will be reading Idle by Siegfried Sassoon. In the gray summer garden I shall find you, with day break in the morning hills behind you. There'll be rain, wet roses, stir of wings, and down the wood a thrush that wakes and sings. Not from the past you'll come, but from the deep, where beauty murmurs to the soul asleep. I shall know the sense of life reborn, from dreams into the mystery of morn, where gloom and brightness meet, and standing there, till that calm song is done, at last we'll share the league spread, queering symphonies that are, join the worlds in peace, in dawn's one star.
Thank you. That was beautiful. We'd like to open the mic and allow those of you who would like to come and share a memory that you have of dear Hannah, and or an experience or something that you remember her deeply by, and just spend a few moments with us, and so that again we can build and share each other's memories, so that we have those things to remember. And again, in our moments of sorrow, it's nice to have these great memories to go forward with. And maybe remember, when you read a poem, when you read a book, when you see a cat or a pet, you'll think of her and smile. Let you come up and do as you feel prompted.
I'm Abby. I am Hannah's cousin, and Hannah was my cousin buddy because we're only a couple months apart. And when Hannah would come visit, we would like to sneak off and talk about things like books and the stuff that we would do. And I remembered this time when they were staying at Grandma's house, and Hannah saw this hat that I had made on like one of those loom things, and she was like, guess what? I was like, what? She's like, did you know you can knit that with like sticks? And I was like, you're kidding me. That's so cool. I want to know how to knit. She's like, well, I know how to knit, so I'll teach you. And I was like, okay, awesome. So we went in the front room of Grandma's, and we closed the door, and we sat down, and she tried to teach me how to knit. But I could not figure it out. Like, she was sitting there, she's like, Abby, you can figure this out. Like, it's not that hard. And you know how, not that hard. And I'd be like, well, it is hard for some people. And she's like, you know what? It's okay, Abby. You can be bad at some things, and you're just bad at this. And so she told me she would knit things for me, and then I could just be bad at it because obviously I could not figure it out. But that's something I always loved about her is she would just, well, that's okay. Because you don't have to be perfect at everything. You can be good at some other things, And that was like the best thing about her. She just would make you laugh even when you were having a hard time doing things.
I am Joshua, Hannah's uncle, maybe youngest uncle, I'm not sure. One of my favorite times that I have with Hannah is being alone with her, is chatting and laughing as we would wait for the bus to take her to school. And it was she's a fun girl. And also, she played with her kids. She just loved them so much. That's all.
I just wanted to say how much I loved her. I think I'd regret it if I didn't get up and say something. She was she was like my best friend. And she didn't like to talk on the phone. But she would talk to me for like a long conversation every Sunday night. And we would have just the best conversations. We would talk for so long. And she would tell me about all the books she was reading and how excited she was for those. And everything going on in her life. And she would give me, she would recommend books to read, and they're always the best books. I wish I can remember all the books she recommended. And she was always just the sweetest girl. I just loved her so much. But I love spending all the time together that we did. And I'm gonna miss her so much. And that's all I wanted to say for now. Thanks.
Thank everyone for coming. I don't really have any like real specific memory to share. There's just so much time together. But Hannah was always, she always had some new book, some new thing that she wanted to do, some new thing, a new song, something to share. And she's always little. She'd always want to, sit on Daddy's lap and sit next to him, cuddle up to him, wanted to talk. And we would talk about everything, anything. Books, music, school, random thoughts, whatever's going on in the world. And the thing about Hannah, she's always had that smile. And it didn't matter how, you're having a bad day or something, you'd see Hannah and she'd smile and make it better. And Hannah just had a way of making the ordinary special. So when Hannah was there, if we needed to, could be running to the grocery store, it could be going and filling up the gas tank, it could be running whatever errand. But when Hannah would come along, her laughter, her jokes, her conversation, her attitude just would make it seem like you were out doing the most special, wonderful thing. Because she was there, and she just made every moment with her. She always found a way just to make it a little brighter, a little funner, a little more exciting, a little more meaningful. And I just always remember just her as being, my daughter, my sweetie, but also my friend, and just a friend, companion, someone you could always just talk to. She was always positive, supporting, and find something good to say, even if, like Abby, even if it was that it's okay. I love that. Sorry, that really does capture her attitude about things. Okay, you're no good at this, and there's things I'm no good at, and that's okay. She's going to love you and accept you, and whether you're, regardless, unconditionally, and she was always so sweet and just loving, and that's what I remember about her. Thank you.
One thing I remember about Hannah, we had an opportunity to go when Scott and Amanda lived in Wisconsin and visit them one summer, and we went to a water park. And there was this huge wave pool at the water park. And so we go out in the wave pool, and it's fun. And then the waves are so huge. And we're like, I wonder what would happen if we went and stood in the middle of these huge waves as it comes right at us. And we just got slaughtered. And I remember Hannah spinning around, and she stands up and just has the biggest smile on her face. That was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But that's that's how I remember Hannah. Is she just smiled, and she made everybody's day. So.
I'm Nicole. I'm one of Hannah's aunts. And just one of my very last memories of Hannah was this Thanksgiving that they were able to come to our house, and just seeing her with her siblings, especially with Kat, they were just so inseparable, and it was cold, and we live in Boise, and they sat outside so they could just like chat together. And the whole time they were just like on each other's laps in all the corners, just giggling. And I just loved seeing your relationship. It was just so evident how loved she was and how much she loved everybody.
Hannah and Catherine and my daughter Morgan were very close. They like to spend time and hang out and play together when they've come over to our house. And one thing that they shared that Abby mentioned was knitted scarves and hats and shawls, and they would dress in these things. And they looked pretty stylish, but my sons did not think so. And they would tease them that they looked like grandmas and little old ladies. I really admired Morgan and the three of them, because they just stood their ground and said, we don't care what you think, we're stylish and we're cool. And I admired that. I thought that was great, and they really had a lot of fun time together. So.
So I'm Hannah's cousin Durham, one of the ones who would tease her and my sister about dressing like old ladies, and they did, as a fact. One of my favorite memories of Hannah was we would always have these, especially when Amanda and Scott moved back west, and we all kind of moved back to Idaho, was that we would have these big family gatherings at my Aunt Cindy's house, and it was so easy for us just to get together and just play games and relax, and watch. There'd always be a movie on, but I always would observe Hannah during these things. That my Aunt Cindy has several pets. They also had Pumpkin that would be over there, and then we have our dog as well that would sometimes come over, and I think I saw Hannah light up the most when she would interact with animals. She always had a special place and a special kindness reserved for pets, and it was almost as if she understood them and understood and had a more special connection sometimes with the animals than she did with other people, and just had such a sweet spirit with them. And I always remember just seeing her brighten up when she'd be around Pumpkin or around a dog, and just have a conversation with them, and that's how I remember her.
Hi, I'm Hannah's sister, but you all know that. I wanted to say that Hannah's, as siblings are, she's such an important part of who I am. I always looked up to her, and I always followed her, and my favorite memories are of us walking together. It seems to be a common theme. In Wisconsin, we would walk in the woods together what we called the woods. It wasn't really. And in Illinois, we would walk to middle school together. And even we would just admire like the mist or the trees. We would walk to the library together. She really loved nature, and she'd make everything so funny. And we just always walked places together, even if they were places that would maybe seem boring, like a library, but we enjoyed those places a lot. And I just look up to her a lot.
Hi, I am Kathy, Hannah's aunt. We did not, unfortunately, see very much of them until their family moved to Provo and we moved up here. And I want to echo her other aunt that mentioned her observation of the love that Hannah had for her siblings, her sister and her brother. From the first time we invited them to our house when we had first moved up here, it was such a clear bond that they had, and it was beautiful and lovely, and you wish every group of siblings had that kind of bond with each other. It was just wonderful. I'm sorry that you and Scott won't have her here to have that continue, but I hope you'll remember that always, and that outsiders noticed it and how beautiful it was. So we love you guys.
This was one time that this was a time that we were at Leslie's and their home, and Scotty was there, and whenever Scotty was there, there was always noise. There was always noise, and he just had so much fun. And anyway, he never wanted to go home. And so when he knew it was time to leave, he would hide. Do you remember that? Yeah. And so they had to look for him to get him to go home. And he hid very well. Anyway, that was one of the just things that I remember about him. And one time, when we were all there, and for some reason they were staying overnight, and my sister Marge, their grandmother, was there. She wasn't feeling very well, so she went to bed early. And the noise upstairs again. Scotty and the boys, they were having a ball. They were so noisy, and their parents kept saying, "You guys, settle down. Your grandmother's trying to sleep, and she doesn't feel very well." It didn't really work. They still just... So, anyway, I went up, and I said, "If you guys can be quiet and just whisper, tomorrow we'll go out to McDonald's and we'll have hamburgers or whatever, and we'll have a good time. But you gotta be quiet. You gotta let her sleep." Well, all of a sudden her parents downstairs wondered why it was so quiet up there. And sure enough, you went up there, and Scotty and all of them. And even Hannah would check on him. And she'd go in there and say, "Oh, you guys, just whisper." And she said, "In fact, don't do anything at all. Just go to sleep." And sure enough, they weren't even whispering. Her family went up there to see what was going on. There was not a noise to be heard. They weren't even whispering because they wanted to make sure they could go to McDonald's and have fun. And sure enough, Marge had a good sleep. And the next day, we were able to go to McDonald's. And you should have seen Hannah. She went down this one slide, got a picture of her, and she comes out and she's going like this, like, "Yes, I made it," and she's just jumping up and then off the slide. So, I mean, she had a good time. And it was just fun for all of us, and it was fun to watch them. And it was a great reward to see those kids and to know how quiet they could be and how much they wanted to go. It's a good time.
Hi, I'm Hannah's aunt, Emily, Amanda's sister. And I remember when Hannah was born, she was just this little tiny thing. She had these really big eyes. Sorry. And she just watched people. And as she grew older, she watched people. She was very observant. She's wicked smart. And I feel like she really knew how to help people and be that friend or that sibling, that comforter, because she didn't need all the attention on herself. She didn't like the spotlight, but she was there. She wanted to be involved. She wanted to have fun. And she and my daughter had a lot of fun. They were always there pounding around with each other. And she'd come around the whole family, and she'd kind of be quiet, because we were kind of a show, our family. We were very loud. And then I'd get here, as soon as they went out of the room, they'd be giggling and laughing and having so much fun. Or in the car, they'd just be talking. But I loved Hannah. And she's a good example to me of reaching out to others and seeing what other people need as well. Not to be quite so focused on our own troubles. But I love Hannah and I miss her. And I'm grateful for her example. Nice. I don't know what else to say at this point. I'm also one that doesn't like the spotlight, so I have a kinship with her as well. But I love you, Hannah.
This is actually one of my sister's memories of her. So she was playing Mario Kart with her, and she was like, there was something, age where she didn't like know where to see the little spot, like what, if you're in 12th or 1st. Hannah was in 1st place, and Olivia, she was like, how do you know what place that is? And she's like, oh, it's right there. She's like, what place am I in? Oh, you're in 12th. And she's like, okay. Yeah. But Hannah, she was always the one that could just be like, it's okay if you're not good at something. Because, like, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad at something. You don't have to be great at everything you do.
just because I'm up here doesn't mean it's over, but because I would like to take a turn. We, when Scott and Amanda and the family were, and their two young ones, I'm not sure, I think there was just two, but it may have been three. But had moved to Montgomery, Texas, and we were living in Texas, and we thought, wow, all right, we get to visit with them. So we eagerly went over and drove to Montgomery from the other side of Texas, and where there's actually trees and grass where they're at, and it's beautiful. And as we basically, it was interesting because as we come in and hi, and this is your uncle, and this is your aunt, and and little Scotty, he tried to exert his little spell over Hannah, and influence her to be a little ornery to us. I know you can't imagine that with Scotty, but she wouldn't have anything of it. she just come right up and said hi, and little in her little old smiley face, and it was a way that you knew that she was independent and she was going to be okay. She wasn't going to be under that spell of her older little brother. I thought, well, that's kind of like our family was. So it was a neat bonding time that we had, and I've always remembered her for that. Now, if there's others you would like to share a moment too, we'll leave it open for you. If not, we'll proceed. Okay, thank you. We would now have a slideshow that has been put together with a lot of the input from family members and pictures, and we'll go to that. I was thinking that as hard as it is to grieve the loss of a loved one, Hannah would tell us, you don't have to be perfect at it. You don't even have to be great at it. But grieve. You'll get through it. She's in healing hands. She'll be okay. She would like us all to have the same healing hands and know that we'll be okay too. We'll now hear a closing prayer from Sarah Goggins.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're so very grateful for this beautiful day. Grateful for this service and remembering Hannah and for everyone that prepared this service. We're grateful for their work in it and hearing the talks and the memories. We pray that we'll always remember Hannah and her happiest moments, and we're grateful for the time that she had here, and we pray that I might continue to comfort her families, especially Amanda, Scott, Catherine, and Scotty. We love thee and say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Stand, please. The pallbearers will come forward.